This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr., and no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. Coming up, mock draft reaction. Going to go through ESPN's latest two-round mock draft from NFL draft analyst Field Yates. Really like the selections and the thought processes behind the two players that he has going to San Francisco with pick number 11 in the first round and 43 overall in the second round. So we begin by just taking a look at the lead up to when the Niners were on the clock at 11 overall. Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami, going to the Tennessee Titans first overall. I agree with that. A lot of the signs that I was getting at the NFL Combine at this point a little while ago was that Ward is the best quarterback in this class. Then we went through free agency, and a lot of the moves that the Titans made in free agency, fortifying the offensive line, led me to believe that, they're going to go Ward, and then he crushed it in his pro day, and a lot of the talk is that he's going to go number 1 to Tennessee. Abdul Carter, favorite player in this draft, defensive end out of Penn State, to the Browns at number 2. So Cleveland elects to not go with Shedeur Sanders. He falls to the New York Giants, and even though New York has signed Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, they get a young quarterback who they can develop. They badly need that within that organization. Travis Hunter, two-way star, to the New England Patriots, gives Drake May some help at wide receiver, and then gives the Patriots a good corner opposite of Christian Gonzalez to build that defense under Mike Vrabel. Mason Graham, another one of these players that I love along the defensive line, a deep defensive line group in this class, goes to Jacksonville at number 5. Ashton Jeanty, who is one of the safest picks in this draft, running back out of Boise State, to the Las Vegas Raiders. They want to try to be competitive now, and I think it's important for Las Vegas to make those carries matter, and that's why they could go the route of Jeanty there. Armand Membu, my favorite offensive tackle in this class, to the Jets at number 7. They need to fortify that offensive line. Jalen Walker, unbelievable player as far as his skill set. Can play edge rusher, can be an off-ball linebacker, a chess piece that Carolina, if they use him and use him well, I think that he can end up being a stud. I'm excited to see what his NFL development is going to look like. Shamar Stewart to the Saints at number 9. I know he's a really good athlete. I just worry, is he a good athlete? Or is he a good athlete and a good football player? We'll certainly see, but the athletic testing was no joke. Will Campbell, another offensive tackle to Chicago there at number 10. Walter Nolen, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss, to the Niners at number 11. And then Tet McMillan, I actually like the fit, goes to the Dallas Cowboys. They've badly needed a number 2 wide receiver alongside C.D. Lamb. They get that with Tet McMillan. And we're about to talk about Walter Nolen in depth here. But if you were on the clock at number 11 and you're the Niners general manager, I just want to know, who would you draft in this scenario with the players off the board at that juncture? Drop me a name down below in the comment section. Here is why Field Yates went with Walter Nolen to the Niners with the 11th overall pick. The 49ers have major work to do along the defensive line and perhaps a few other spots after losing multiple starters on both sides of the ball this offseason. Nolen would be a play wrecker for them. He is overwhelmingly powerful and explosive, and he could help replace veterans Malik Collins and Javon Hargrave. He had 6.5 sacks in his lone season at Ole Miss after 2 years at Texas A&M. In a league that has put an increased premium on pass rushing defensive tackles, he would provide San Francisco with a valuable building block. Really, since the Niners traded away DeForest Buckner, they haven't been able to replace him. That's number 1. Number 2, look at how the Philadelphia Eagles caused destruction with their defensive line and defensive tackle play against Patrick Mahomes in Super Bowl 59. Milton Williams, Moro Ajomo, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. They rolled up squad deep, 4 deep at defensive tackle, and they beat up Kansas City in the trenches. And part of the reason why teams are putting a premium on pass rushing defensive tackles, you think about it, right? In between that tackle box, when a quarterback drops back, if you're able to muddy up the pocket and make the ground beneath that quarterback uneasy and uneven, if you're able to blur that sight line for the quarterback, it could result in a great quarterback like Patrick Mahomes looking lost and flustered. That's what the Eagles did. That's what the Niners could not do last year. That's what they've missed since losing to Forrest Buckner, trading him away. And so the Niners desperately need to build up that defensive line. And as it currently stands, the Niners are a bottom 5 defensive line in the league across the board with the players currently on this team. And I think they could take multiple defensive tackles and edge rushers in this draft because they need it. They don't have a lot of personnel at those positions. The question here with Nolen, is he a reach at number 11? Some people think that he's a mid-first round pick. Some people think he's a late first round pick. My message to the Niners, if you love him, take him. I really like Walter Nolen. I'm not sure if number 11 is the spot where I'd take him. I think the Niners could afford to trade out, trade back, get another pick, whether it be end of the first round, most likely another second or another third, and then you can still get your player, your guy in Nolen, while picking up another premium draft pick. But this Niners starting defensive line as of right now across the board would be Nick Bosa at defensive end, Evan Anderson, Jordan Elliott at defensive tackle, and Yetur Gross-Matos at the other edge spot. When I scout Walter Nolen, he is twitched up, very explosive, very violent at the line of scrimmage. That get off once the ball is snapped, you can see it. It's something special that he possesses here. He plays with a really good motor. You never have to worry about him taking plays off. He plays to the whistle and sometimes after it. This Niners defense needs to get a little bit more nasty, especially after losing players who brought nastiness to the field. Indra Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga comes to the Niners with pedigree, former number 1 overall recruit in his high school class. Didn't work out great at Texas A&M, but that program was a disaster. Goes to Ole Miss. Everybody loved him there, and he balled out. He's also good as a run stuffer and elite as a pass rushing defensive tackle. A lot of defensive tackles nowadays are good pass rushing, not good run stuffing. Walter Nolen can do both. The pass rush needs some refinement, but that's why you have Chris Kocurek and Robert Saleh. His numbers in 2024, 48 tackles, 14 TFLs, 6.5 sacks. Love the pressure numbers there at 35. He can cause disruption from the interior of that defensive line. The career numbers, only played that lone season at Ole Miss. Prior to that, 2 years at Texas A&M, 16 pressures apiece in 2022 and in 2023. So he's shown an ability quite consistently to be able to get after the opposing quarterback. If you want some more Niners draft coverage, by the way, subscribe to the San Francisco 49ers Report. 600 people away from another great milestone of 160,000 subscribers. Our sponsor for today's show, our friends at Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy sports app in the game. More than 10 million active members. Billions of dollars handed out in awarded winnings. Right now, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. And if you play $5, you don't even have to win, but you'll receive a $50 kickback guaranteed just by going to prizepicks.com/CLNS. So win big time money with our friends at Prize Picks. Some baseball selections that we like. Yeah, baseball season underway. Shohei Ohtani, more than 1.5 total bases. Bryce Harper, more than a half ribby. Aaron Judge, more than a half RBI. It's very easy. You pick and choose more or less on a player's projected stats for a game for an entire season, and you can win some big-time money. Run your game with Prize Picks, prizepicks.com/CLNS. To the Niners' second-round pick here for San Francisco from Field Yates. Tyler Shough, quarterback out of Louisville, to the Browns at number 33. He's been said to be rising up draft boards. Older player, certainly has a lot of ability, but there are weaknesses to his game. In a weak quarterback class, that honestly wouldn't shock me, because if the Browns pass on a QB at number 2, they might take one at 33. Kenneth Grant, really good defensive tackle out of Michigan, the running mate to Mason Graham to the Buffalo Bills at number 34. I love the team fit there. Donovan Ezeraku, defensive end out of Boston College, to the Titans at number 35. Trey Amos, cornerback, Ole Miss to Jacksonville. Josh Simmons, another offensive tackle, to a Chiefs team that desperately needs offensive line help. Tyler Booker, one of the sure things in this draft, the athletic testing was not good. The tape doesn't lie, and he'd be a good fit on the Giants. Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver to the Chicago Bears. They get Caleb Williams, another weapon. Jaden Higgins, wide receiver out of Iowa State. The Niners met with him in the pre-draft. He loves blocking downfield, and he's a big body who actually ran pretty well too. Quinshon Judkins, running back out of Ohio State. Everybody talks about Travion Henderson, right? Well, Quinshon Judkins is a player who fell under the radar as another running back for that Ohio State Buckeye team. Mason Taylor, tight end at LSU, to the New York Jets at number 42, and then Aireontae Ersery, offensive tackle, played left tackle with Minnesota, to the Niners there at number 43, and then the aforementioned Travion Henderson, running back out of Ohio State. You have two Ohio State ball carriers going between 41 and 44 on this mock draft. With Ersery, though, obviously, he's at the center of our conversation and focus right now. If the Niners don't go offensive line in the first round, I'm fine with that. I know I've advocated for the Niners needing to rebuild the trenches on both sides of the ball and with that offensive line. They need to improve the offensive line in this draft because they haven't done it in free agency. This defensive line group is really talented, and you can get some really good players at number 11. You can still get some really good offensive tackles in the second and third round. And so if the Niners do not go offensive tackle first round, I like the value of Ersery here. His experience and his scheme fit is really important. Outside zone guy, and he started a bunch of games in his college career. He's also huge, and he moves extremely well for his size of being more than 330 pounds. You would hope that maybe he could play right tackle from the jump. And then eventually, he could take over for Trent Williams whenever one of the best left tackles in the history of football decides to call it quits. Here's what Field Yates had to say about Ersery to the Niners here. San Francisco's search for offensive and defensive line reinforcements will be ongoing. And Ersery could be the heir apparent to Trent Williams, who's turning 37 in July. Ersery allowed 4 sacks over 39 starts, and his 6'6", 331-pound frame makes it difficult for pass rushers to get around him. And when I scout him, love the experience there. I mean, all of those starts, it goes a long way in you being ready to play from the go. And in the Big Ten, you're going up against some really talented edge rushers on a near week-in, week-out basis. He's also very powerful. Doesn't have natural bend, which is a little bit of an issue, but he is a good fit in this outside zone. And while he's not really twitched up with that bend, when he gets out in space, he's very athletic. 6'6", 331 pounds, and he moves well. Long arms and 25 reps of 225 pounds on the bench press. Think about it. When you're benching, if you have shorter arms, those reps are easy. If you have long arms and you're having to go up and down with 225, that's not easy. So him doing 25 reps with long arms, that means that he has that power. And obviously the bench with offensive and defensive line power, that's important. His Pro Football Focus grades in 2024, 691 snaps, overall grade of 77.5, pass blocking grade of 77.3, a run blocking grade of 73.6. Furthermore, only gave up 1 sack and did not give up a lot of sacks in his college career with all of those starts, 1 quarterback hit, 10 hurries, and 3 penalties. So this is a player who could potentially start right away at right tackle if he's comfortable. If not, you develop him to take over for Trent Williams at some point. So grade this 2-round mock draft for San Francisco. Thanks to the great Field Yates of ESPN, A, B, C, D, or F. Thanks for watching.